Hello, and welcome back to the channel. As you can see here, we're at the end of the 2022-2023 season. As you can kind of see in the middle of the screen here, I'm still flabbergasted, but we somehow won the Stanley Cup in the second season of the Jersey Best franchise mode. I went absolute bananas when it happened, to be completely frank, but we'll kind of get into how we got there and stuff in a quick sec here, I guess, because this is the recap video of the 22-23 season, which I guess is also going to be the last episode in this series. So yeah, let's get into it. Kind of starting off with, it's kind of a little, I haven't actually done this before. I probably should do this. This kind of makes sense to kind of, if you're like just watching this and haven't watched like the last episode. The recap of the last season, which was the 21-22 season, our kind of Kraken inaugural season, where we were terrible, missed the playoffs, and our one big free agency move was to sign a fourth line left winger, Zach Sanford, and we did basically nothing else, and kind of went to the season like that. So I was basically like, all right, I'm probably gonna miss the playoffs. I remember saying in the last episode, I was like, I'm gonna miss the playoffs again because they made up the roster is essentially identical to what it was, and what I was expecting us to miss the playoffs again, kind of take a draft pick and kind of keep the rebuild going, but so that's kind of where things were kind of seemingly going along for most of the regular season. Trade deadline comes the next, I think it's like they stopped the day before. So I was like, all right, let me kind of see where we're at the day before the trade deadline, and assess if we were in a playoff spot. I was gonna be like, all right, keep the roster as is, don't make any trades. If we were out of a playoff spot, I was like, all right. That's what I kind of did. I checked. I went to the contract screen because it was the day before, and checked because you can't really see it, in that screen, when you're in the trade deadline, mini game kind of thingy-mabob. So I was like, all right, let me check the contract screen. Go to the contract screen, and I'm like, all right, who's on expiring deals here, and who wants to stay, who wants to go. Basically, I had two players, Dennis Cholowski, Islanders legend, current Islander, and Cole Lind, who were kind of 80, I think. Cholowski's an 82 overall, Lind's an 81, and because of how the roster was constructed, I had them in the AHL for most of the season, so I was like, all right, I could trade a forward and defenseman and call these two guys up to replace them. If there's anyone who's on a kind of expiring deal who wants out, is going to sign a new contract to kind of get some draft picks or maybe a prospect or something in return for him, kind of keep the rebuild going, get these younger guys a shot in the big time, and kind of keep the tankathon going. I guess it wasn't really that much of a tankathon, because I'm pretty sure we were 2 points out of a playoff spot, but it was a wild card spot. And it's if we're going to make these trades, we're probably not going to make it. And we're probably not going to make it anyways, because we're currently out of the spot. So what I did was the trade deadline, I went and traded the two players that were kind of not wanting to sign new deals. That I was most interested, I was kind of all right, I'll trade him. It was Ryan Donato, unfortunately. I was kind of hoping he'd stick around, because he's a pretty good fit on our second line. But he was I want out. And I was like, he's kind of high value, so I'll get good stuff for him, which I did. I traded him to Montreal at the deadline for a second in 2024 and a third in 2023. So then he kind of went out, so that left the second line left wing role, which Jaden Schwartz moved up from the third line to the second line. Then he went in there. That meant then Jared McCann moved from third line center to third line left wing. Yanni Gourde moved from third line right wing to third line center, and Cole Lind slotted in on the third line, nice and easy peasy. And then kind of on the defenseman that was kind of willing to let go is Carson Soucy, because he was on an expiring deal. He's kind of mostly supposed to be a third pairing guy. We already have Jamie Oleksiak for that kind of third pairing left defenseman role, so I was like, all right, you can go. So I traded him to the Carolina Hurricanes for a 2023 third and a 2023 fourth, and then Dennis Cholowski moved into his spot on the second pairing with Adam Larson. And I was like, all right, sweet. Trade deadline passed. I stopped, I think, on the 18th, because when the central scouting updates, that's how I kind of do my scouting and stuff. Is I at each kind of central scouting update, especially the first one's in October. I kind of go and check see how the progress fantasy scouts have made, and then kind of sign them accordingly based on their progress, or most of the time lack of progress and whatnot. So I stopped there, and I didn't even check to see if we were in the playoffs or not, because I was like, probably not, whatever. Saved to the end of the regular season after that, and I was like, all right, we're probably gonna miss the playoffs here. Let's kind of see. I backed out of did the calendar to kind of make it fast. One of the calendar skipped the date. It was Zoom let it go super quick. And then I was like, all right, backed out, went to look at the standings screen. I was like, all right, we're probably gonna be like missing the playoffs and stuff. Then I check, and we're in a playoff spot with our, as you can see here, 38, 34, and 10 record, which is good for, how many points was that good for? Good for 86 points, which is good for the second wild card in the Western Conference, and we hit the lowest points total any team that made the playoffs there. So we were basically the 16th seed with 86 points there. The closest team was 90 points, Carolina and Metropolitan third in the Metro. So they're the kind of closest in terms of points total in the regular season to being like as kind of bad as, quote unquote, bad as we were, and still make the playoffs with our 86 points. As you can see here on the screen here, Jordan Eberle, I'll kind of pull it up so you can look at Jamie Oleksiak's stuff. But Jordan Eberle, who I made captain as he became captain IRL for the Kraken, with leading score 62 points, minus 13 there on the second line, which is yeesh. With 17 goals, 45 assists for 62 points. Jamie Oleksiak regressed from last season. I'm pretty sure he had 20 points last season, right? Let me go to my spreadsheet here and check. He had 15 points. So you're still regressed, but not by as much as I thought. So yeah, 6 goals, 7 assists, 13 points there. And in terms of the other kind of big things was in terms of goals for, goals against per game, which is kind of, I'm surprised we even somehow made the playoffs, as we were 21st in the NHL in both. Goals for per game was 2.85, and then goals against per game was 3.02. So we were kind of like in the negative, and we somehow still made the playoffs there. We like had more goals against per game than goals for per game. So made the playoffs, it boggles my mind. Pretty much in terms of the President's Trophy was the... Sorry about that. President's Trophy was the Toronto Maple Leafs with 111 points in the Atlantic Division, and then leading scorer in the NHL was Sidney Crosby, 112 points. So basically, like once again, they basically had like double our like amount of points, pretty much, like the leading scorer to our score. So yeah, we were not doing too hot in terms of we were not obviously you can see 21st in the league goals for per game, not very much a high scoring team, but it kind of is what it is there. So now let's get into the playoffs here, and as you can see here, left side of the screen, we started off obviously against the kind of best team in the West in the regular season, which is the Vancouver Canucks, who would finish the season with 106 points. They were like second overall in the league in the regular season points tally with 106 points, and we somehow beat them 5-1 in 5 games. Won games 1-2, 4-3, and 6-3. Vancouver won game 3, 3-1. And then we closed it out with 4-2 and 7-4 wins at games 4 and 5 to upset the second best team in the regular season and move on to the second round against the Anaheim Ducks, who finished third in the Pacific, 93 points. That series is a bit tighter, went to 6 games as you can see here. Excuse me, sorry about that. Again, kind of tired here. But game 1, we won 2-1. Anaheim then tied the series with a 3-1 win in game 2. Game 3 took a 2-1 lead, with a 2-1 win in game 3. Anaheim tied the series again with a 3-2 win in game 4. And then we won 2 straight, 3-2 and 5-2 to win the series in 6, 4-2. And then as you can see here, Western Conference Finals against the St. Louis Blues, who were the other wildcard teams. The 2 wildcard teams in the East faced off, in the West, faced off in the Conference Finals, which is pretty crazy. St. Louis Blues, as you see here, another 5-game series. So we won game 1, 4-2. St. Louis then tied the series with a 2-1 win in game 2. Then we marched out to 1-0, 6-5, and 3-1 wins to win the series in 5, 4-1. And as you can see here, we got matched up against the New Jersey Devils in the Cup Final, who were Cup Finals last year and lost to Minnesota. They were first in the Metro with 104 points. And as you can see here, we won it in 6 games. So we won game 1, 4-3, game 2, 3-0. Lost 1. Game 1, 4-3, won game 2, 2-0. Lost game 3, 2-1. Game 4, we won 4-0. And then kind of game 5, they did like because it was like we're on the verge of the cup, did like the slow sim or whatever, so I could like try and capture the footage if we were to win that game and win the series. The cup went into overtime, tied 1-1. So what I did was I did like the CPU versus CPU game. It went, first overtime went, nothing happened. Second overtime double scored, won the game 2-1 double overtime to force the game 6. Then the game 6 to the slow sim again, went to the, I think we took a 2-0 lead. I like to like skip period, and then like kind of slow but fast in third period. So at first period we had a 2-0 lead. New Jersey then tied it at 2, and in the second heading into the third, and then we scored 2 goals in the third period to win the game 4-2 and win the Stanley Cup in basically LA Kings Cinderella 2012 run-esque fashion here, because we were like 8 in the West here and beat the New Jersey Devils in the Cup final to win the Cup. So basically we did the LA 2012 LA Kings, which is pretty crazy, to win the Cup in 6. And this was like, I think, literally the first time in the entire, probably the only time this is ever going to happen too, is the first time this, like, I've been doing since we've been doing these Jersey Quest franchise modes here, and even like when I was kind of doing similar stuff like on my own before I started uploading these to YouTube, that I literally played zero games the entire like not even this like I was gonna say this first time like I played 0 games in a season where like 0 games the entire season where I won the Cup, but I literally played 0 games this entire series, which is kind of wild. Because I usually play like the first season I usually have to end up playing a bunch to kind of keep the record similar, but didn't have to do that first season because the record was so bad. This season, because our record was so bad, we didn't have like a rival like how the format works. Where I kind of play the rival in the regular season and potentially then in the playoffs. If we meet them in the playoffs, to kind of like make things, kind of create storylines and spice things up and kind of allow me to actually play some of the games instead of just like simulating away forever. But this series literally simulated every single game, and we somehow won the Stanley Cup in our second year here with the Seattle Kraken. Absolute madness. I went bananas when we won the Cup in Game 6. I was like, well, how did this happen? Absolute craziness. So yeah, in terms of the playoff scoring and stuff here, to kind of wrap up, let's go to player stats here. Jordan Eberle once again, kind of the leader of the team, leading by example with his 20 points in the playoffs, 10 goals, 10 assists. Jamie Oleksiak had a solid, scrolling all the way down here, 2 points. He was our lowest scorer, which kind of makes sense. He's a third pairing or defensive defenseman. But Louis had 2 points in the playoffs, 2 assists. But he was a plus 12, which is pretty impressive for a third pairing defenseman in the playoffs. So he was locking down the other team and is kind of on the ice for some goals for, which is pretty nice stuff from our player focus there, Jamie Oleksiak. And in terms of kind of awards and stuff, we'll go in here, kind of scroll through them. As here, he obviously won the Stanley Cup. Now we'll kind of scroll here and see the Clarence S. Campbell Bowl. But in terms of the right individual awards, Sidney Crosby, as I said, we had led the league in scoring with 112 points. Once again, sorry about that. With 112 points, but did not really sweep the awards for whatever reason. Which I guess they're I could kind of logically understand if I was a voter, because he had 2 teammates in the top 10 in scoring. He was first, 112. Jake Gensel was 1, 2, 3, 4 with 101, and then Malkin was 9th with 90 points. But most of the trophies, then, I guess maybe for that reason, went to Nathan McKinnon, who finished 2nd in scoring with 105 points, even though he had a teammate, Nico Rantanen, who finished 7th in scoring with 91 points. So I probably would have given it to, I don't even know who I guess Ovechkin, I guess, if we're based on the logic not giving it to someone who had a teammate in the top 10 in scoring. It would have to go to Ovechkin, because he's the only one who didn't have a teammate in the top 10 with 94 points with the Capitals. If they didn't make the playoffs, so that's probably kind of a ding against him for that. So kind of weird season in that regard. But yeah, Nathan McKinnon kind of scooped up most of the trophies here, including the Hart. Norris went to Cale Makar. Lady Bing to McKinnon. Calder went to Eklund of the Sharks. Conn Smythe went to Phil Grubauer, which is kind of interesting. IMO, because you would think basically in order for a goalie to win the Conn Smythe, they would have to win all 16 games, but Game Clear didn't think so, because I'm guessing it's probably what is it here? Where was it? Game 4 against St. Louis, where he won 6-5. I'm guessing he got pulled, and Chris Drieger went in and kind of basically pitched a shutout in relief, because he has a win in the playoffs with 1,000 save percentage, 0 goals against average. So he came in relief in that game and won it. So Grubauer only won 15 games. but I guess he did have, even despite getting pulled in that game, he did have a 931 save percentage and 2.03 goals against average and 3 shutouts, which is pretty wild. So I guess like in terms of those stats, he probably did deserve a Conn Smythe. Considering our league score wasn't a point per game in Everly. But yeah, so I guess you don't have to win all 16 games, and those your goalie stats are that kind of ridiculous. But that kind of in terms of the goalie trophies, we have Vezina went to Thatcher Demko of the Canucks. Jennings went to John Gibson of the Ducks. Mastership went to Chris Tadev of the Calgary Flames. He's the Western Conference pretty much picking up most of these trophies here. Jack Adams went to our coach, I'm guessing because he missed the playoffs and made the playoffs. I think the going for that IRL, I'm pretty sure it's like after round 1 or 2, I'm pretty sure in the playoffs, so like wouldn't have taken, maybe that also got taken into account. Yeah, that's how the game does it as well, not really sure. Selke went to Ryan O'Reilly, not really a surprise there. Ted Lindsay to McKinnon, and unsurprisingly Ovi winning the Rocket Richard. As I said, he finished 94 points in the regular season. But yes, this is still kind of I'm still in disbelief that we somehow, I guess the game did not like me calling this team mid in the last episode, whereas basically this team is like all basically like middle 6 forwards and like kind of middle pairing, bottom pairing defensemen. No real star power, but we are somehow, without me literally playing a single game this entire series, we're able to win the Stanley Cup in the second season. I'm just absolute madness. Probably never gonna happen again. This like it would probably do like however many more of these series while we keep kind of going, chugging along here throughout this kind of FGO Let's Play, which is the main thing on this channel pretty much. The whole reason I kind of created this YouTube channel was the FGO stuff, because I was basically like, well, I'll kind of start over again in FGO and kind of combine it with my love for hockey and soccer and like kind of video games in general here. Kind of created this channel and everything with it kind of because of that, so that probably never gonna happen again in the entire history of this thing, of us winning the Stanley Cup in a series like this without me playing a single game the entire series. Absolute madness, absolute madness. But yeah, on that note, this kind of went longer than I would have expected for like a kind of recap video, probably because this was the Stanley Cup season, because it was just so crazy. But yeah, thank you to anyone who kind of checked this episode out and any of the other episodes in the series. In terms of what's next on the channel, I honestly think, no, it's probably going to be, no, it's going to be a kit quest. Actually, is it? No, it's probably not. Because the kick, oh jeez, I don't know, man, I have to derailing the ending here, but yes, the next series, it's either going to be a kit quest, which it actually might not be, kind of thinking about it right now, or if it isn't, I think I can confidently say, potentially, do I want to like make a fool of myself here? Looking at my kind of little document here where I have like kind of my ideas and stuff written down, but I think it's not going to be a kit quest next. Even if like going off of this, it wouldn't even thinking it would be a kit quest. It won't be. The next series on this channel, which is kind of exciting, pretty hype here. We have been doing kit quests and Jersey quests for like a little bit here, kind of uninterrupted. We're going kind of back to more kind of like traditional non-sports game stuff on the channel here for a second. And our next series is going to be a Let's Play / basically it's a walkthrough, because I don't really do commentary on those videos, just because I don't. Maybe at some point in the future I'll kind of start doing commentary on like my non-sports stuff. But next series on the channel is going to be a Let's Play basically / walkthrough, because I don't talk, it's basically just gameplay footage of Mario 64 through like the Mario 3D All-Stars collection on the Switch. So that should be pretty fun and exciting stuff. Mario 64, kind of bit of a nemesis situation. I obviously, you've probably seen I have done in the past. The other 2 games in the collection I've done Sunshine and Mario Galaxy. But Mario 64, I'm not very good at it. I've beaten it in the past, but not very good at it, so it should be kind of filled with a lot of me dying in very stupid ways over and over and over again. So it should be a fun one. But yeah, so thank you for checking this out, the series, this episode, potentially anything else on the channel you've checked out in the past. Hopefully you kind of check out that Mario 64 series, as mentioned about in the future as well. But thank you again, thank you.
And there it is! No harder trophy to win in sports than the Stanley Cup. and they're doing it.
Every time I see the players celebrate, I can't help but feel a little jealousy for the fact that they got to run through the final stage. They deserved the trophy, and I never got to lift it. I look at them and I go, man, you guys have accomplished everything.
I can't imagine how hard it must be for one side trying to do this right now.
So hard to get to the Stanley Cup final. You've got to win 12 games just to get here, but they can't win the last 4, and they go home with nothing.
What an impressive run, and I think well-deserved to be named playoff MVP.
I've always noticed that the player that gets named Conn Smythe Trophy winner is always a little uneasy because it's such a team win, the Stanley Cup, of course, that the Conn Smythe feels a little awkward in this spot.
It's also huge.
It's a giant trophy.
He's coming to collect the Stanley Cup. I can't even imagine how hard his heart is beating right now.
It must be an amazing feeling. Every time I see them hoist the cup year after year, I feel a little pang of jealousy that I never got to do it. Look at this. What a great celebration.
Oh, they get to take the tour with the championship. I can't even imagine what that feeling must be like.
What an amazing accomplishment to win. And it must be such relief to get your hands on the trophy, to realize this is it. This is what I played for.
We think of the players on the ice, but Ray, as you see the rest of the organization huddling, it really is a group effort here.
This means something to everybody that works with the championship organization. The cup is in the middle, you're in the